Hey everyone, TahuMata1888 here to do story overviews about the 2006-2008 point. So I'm gonna make my point now, because it's been a long time since I did a video review. Okay, favorite part about these guys. Favorite part about the Paraka is that you got the glow in the dark teeth, the light up eyes, which of course we found in story wise. They fire laser beams. The folding out the right arms that kind of fold out of the tool, as you can see. You see the other gun on his hand, and it does that kind of mechanism. For example, here's Radak. It kind of does this, which of course does bring a comeback of Hordika in 2000, which kind of comes back with that Hordika element in 2005 with the third film. Kind of how Hordika, you see, here's Matau. This tool can fold back and you can fold in the front for the film. They did the same. And how the limbs are like the same short length and long length. That's what they kind of like. And the way they, and yeah. And the Zamo guns, you get to have, I have a Matoran, I have one of the Matoran's Pirog. It's hard to see because since the dark green does blend in the shadows. Here we are. Here's Pirog. Now I got a Matoran, which when I was young, which the first time I got these sets, I always have fun shooting the Zamo launchers at the Matoran. And of course I don't have all the Matoran, but I do have all the Paraka and 4 of the Anaika. And I do have Vezon and Fen. I do have the Vezon figure, but I don't have Fenrak or Cardus. But the favorite part about the Mask of Life is that we get to have the Mask of Life from Vezon, kind of a comeback of how he wore a flip mask. Vezon's like that too, and kind of like he's a little bit of Takanui because he's a 7 Paraka wearing a mask with the power beginning with L, with the beginning of the beginning with 2 letters L and I, light and life. And kind of how the Tonoova got beaten up proves that the Paraka very strongly can outnumber anything. Favorite part of the Anaika is that we have JavaScript who evolved from Metronui Matoran body appearances, then evolving to Matanui Matoran body appearances, then to rebuilt. Then a rebuilt Matanui Matoran appearance. Yes, I know that it's not the same guy, but I had to pick up Takua to be the closest one so far, and then transform by a lightning bolt from Red Star into these powerful warriors, and the masks transforming and becoming organic makes it look like, which I would have preferred that the original masks they once wore, like Jala, you know how Jala wore the Kanohi Hat, the lightning bolt would have transformed into a Kanohi Calyx, but it didn't happen story-wise. The mask was scoffed from them. But you know what I would have preferred better about it. And they got light up swords, and the Zamalons can now load up to 4 armors. Of course, I did put something to. I did put a little. You remember those clogged up pieces in 2008? Where the Zama launcher doesn't. So the Zama spheres don't come out of it when you tilt the launchers upside down. Those clogged pieces. I kind of did my own clogged piece, but can house up to 4 armors rather than 3. I did technically. I'm gonna be honest. I did the clog up, the thing that clogs the clog up piece that holds the Xanospheres on top. I did that. The 2008 introduced. I did that for. Actually, I did that first. 2 years before 2008 vehicles did that too. Ooh, that's one. I'm gonna be honest. I thought of this before. I thought of it first. And kind of how my favorite part is that you get to use the Anaika to free the Matoran citizens from the Paraka. And kind of how they don't look like and kind of like how in the commercials they don't fear anything, but have the nerve to jump in the Paraka lair. That's all because the powers they got are protecting them from fear. That's all I can understand. Favorite part Axon and Brutaka is you get to return the Tometra heads from different people. Kind of like so there's not an effective transformation or anything whatsoever. Play sets because we have a battle in the Paraka base and everything whatsoever. And favorite part about the Baraki is because we kind of dive into the oceans, and kind of we're forced to get these guys diving into the oceans. Of course, as the oceans do contain a mutagen which transforms anybody into water-breathing unique creatures. I know they're immune to the mutagen, but all we know at least is they plunge themselves into the dark oceans. The Mask of Life's original form was revealed. The Baraki firing squid launchers could have looked like it could affect anybody, especially towards them. But of course, at least they weren't killed by squid launchers. And how the Baraki are kind of like creatures. The most recommended favorite one is Matex. My favorite part of these guys is, and yes, I know that I kind of lifted the lower arm a bit up. That's all because the socket ends the socket ends right here were breaking apart, and I had to find a spare piece for that. The favorite part of these guys is that they look like they got transformed by the mutagen, but even though you know story-wise they were transformed by the Mask of Life. They can breathe in the water. They've now adapted into the ocean. They've now adapted into the oceans, and the Kodak blast of the fire rod kind of looks like kind of makes them look like, kind of treats them like prototypes, but they aren't. And just because we just saw them, it's because as the first time I saw them in prototype pics, because these guys were the first I've seen in prototype Toy Fair pics. Then later on in 2008, but at least they don't look like a prototype at all. And the gills kind of make them look like they need to breathe air, even though they're actually gills, which helps survive in a war, because story-wise, they do breathe in a war, but you know what I mean. But I kind of like how they got transformed to second forms, which kind of brings a comeback of how Tao's group became from Tau Mata to Tau Nuva. Vakama's group became Tau Metra to Tau Hordika. They evolved from Inanaka to Tau Amari. It's kind of like from 2001 and 2007, they transformed these three Tau groups into two different possible forms. Of course, they don't become Turaga eventually, whereas Vakama's group did. And I originally would have thought that they would revert back to Anaika, just like how Vakama would revert back to being Tau Metra, but actually, like the Tau and Nuva, the transformation is permanent. And speaking of transformation, the favorite part about the mask is that we get to see the mask being worn this time at the ending climax of that year when Motoro donned it. Of course, as we know, Of course, I heard everyone rumored that Motoro wearing the mask would transform to Tau Ignica, the 2008 character. But it turned out would have been like Tau Ignica would not been Motoro or anybody else. But technically, we did not know this until 2008. We found out that Motoro that the mask would gather molecules. So instead, Motoro gave his own life away to save Matanui, which kind of freaked me out at how in September Matanui died. I know that the world is doomed, there's nothing they can do. The November comic, Motoro helped reveal the solution, and it did work. But Motoro gave himself away. And kind of how Maxlows and Spinax. Yeah, the box is over there. We get to have Makura, because Makura possessing it kind of brings a comeback to Turaga Doom and Evoke, because it's kind of like that. You have a man and a creature. You have a man and a pet, and the name order. Maxlow is talking about a man. Spinax is talking about a pet. Kind of like how they say Turaga Doom at first as a man and Evoke as a pet. When I say man, you know what I mean. Of course, there are the unique differences about that, which while obviously they're the same, is that 2004, Makura Pterodax cast from Turaga and Evoke was hired to deliver messages. This one, Spinax liaises as a pet for Maxillos, attracting escapees, and Maxillos is obviously an independent robot until Makura, as Antidermis, which we found out he did survive after all, possessed into this robot's body. Which they say living antiderms can only possess spiritless bodies, even though I've never seen a story like that happen before. Of course, yes, I know Motoro's body was temporarily possessed by Pterodax, but you know what I mean. So far, this is the only thing I know that was possessed so far until the Baraki damaged it and Makura dwelled out of it. We all thought Makura died already, and then they say the Rocket Tones, but it turned out he was actually in 2008. Novel book, Shadows in the Sky, that he actually was dwelling in some unknown location, which we found out was the core processor which is inside the Matoran Universe robot's head. That, I mean, the Matoran Universe robot's head is the body of Matanui, once used by him until Terex took it over. Which leaves Makura going to too much various forms throughout the course of the years. And Hydraxon, kind of how we have Descartes transforming into that guy. And then kind of how with the air bubble, there's a defense that could kill the Baraki and everything whatsoever. Yeah. And kind of how the Mask of Life, originally kind of went through so much transitions, from regular, then to Vazon form, then back to regular in 2007. After being Domatoro, then became Silver, and then donned by the Toa of Life. Then it gathered molecules to create a Toa of Life out of itself. And of course, everyone thought we would have a gold Mask of Life, but it turned out to be silver, and I think it might have frustrated others. And then we would have thought there would have been one in 2009, but it turned out be a Glatorian mask mold you can see on Matanui. But then we have the gold version of this on this Titan Matanui. Exactly, and don't worry, I haven't lost it. It's right here on Matoro's head. I left it. I keep it on for like certain times. I keep this. I put it on him every time I do a 2007 story. So far I did various times on Matoro's face, putting on a Vezon mask, then a silver Tognika mask, and now a golden mask. I have to put this on pause because now this is now 10 minutes past.